Welcome to the map guide for the map known as Ensk. Ensk is actually a very small map and encourages a lot of close quarter combat. It's also got a lot of urban features in it, and it's got a big open field and an irritating area with railway tracks. In fact, let's do the named areas. The one line, also known as road, it goes all the way down the one line. It's a death trap. We'll come back to that later. There's the town square. You find that at EF 4 and 5. The rails run down 6 line. We'll get to them. There's a small area called yard or lumber yard. I've heard both. It's on the 8 line at D, E, and F. And then you've got the field at 9 and 0. So because this map is so small, really weird things happen from the moment the map starts. Your scouts, which have got really good view range, usually pick up the movement of enemy tanks immediately, and that gives you a good indication of where the tanks are going. Ensk absolutely pays if you pay attention to your team's composition. If you haven't got an equal amount of heavies, then be careful. If you're outnumbered by mediums, they might be making a field push. If it's about equal, make sure your heavies are going to where they're going to fight. So let's deal with heavies first. The big battle for heavies is going to take place round about F2. Now, all your heavies should be going there. If you're in the north, you can be slightly slower, a little bit more defensive. You've got slightly more nooks and crannies. If you're from the south, you're going to have to push. You want to at least get to the G1, 2, 3 area. And you want to push onto F and get into E as fast as possible. Oh, while we're at it, that one road. I don't suggest any heavies go there, and to explain that, I need to talk about TDs. So the TDs on this map, well, one of the biggest and most common areas is guarding the one road. In the north, you're going to find them at B1. I don't like that spot very much. Once you get in there, you can't really do anything else other than guard the road. It's got a mirror down at J1, slightly better. You'll also find TDs squatting around about J3 or 4. They're guarding a road. Its mirrors up at D3 and 4. It's actually a hull down spot through like a rubbly window, kind of cool. You also find TDs at J5, and they're guarding the 5 line, which is the access to town square, and they have a mirror around about B5. And you will find some TDs squatting on rails, just in case, around about J6 or B6. And a couple of TDs will wander over potentially to guard the field, so you'll find them at like B0, H0, I guess. Mediums, on the other hand, well, they're going to go to a couple of places. They spend a lot of time charging up rails. There's some really neat hiding spots between the houses around about E5, F5. They're important because they give good vision control and they allow you to shoot down the EF lines into the town, supporting the assault where all the heavies are fighting. You can make a run down the 7 line. Again, not sure I'd do that if I didn't have the armor. If not, then you need to guard the 7 line. You find that with D7, G7. Good places to hold on. Mediums also find their way into the lumber yard and they have a big fight round about E8. A lot of close quarter combat, lots of 90-degree turns, lots of snapshots, good aiming. Mediums can also find their way out onto the field at 9 and 0. Not sure that's a pro play. Can be done if you're counting tanks. You realize that you've got an overmatch. Speaking of which, you often see scouts zooming up the 9-0 line. They're looking for RT or they're doing counter scouting. It's not a bad idea. You'll often see scouts making death runs up rails itself up the 6 line, and they can cause all sorts of trouble at the mid to end game because RT hunting is what this is all about. Speaking of which, artillery is going to be hiding on the back lines. That's A1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes A8, 9, and 0, and down on the K line at 1, 2, and 3, 4, 7, 8, sometimes at K0. Not a great artillery map. Some of the most success I've seen artillery do is when they go TD mode and hunt in the urban areas. Ensk is bloody and fast. You have to pay attention. If your heavies haven't gone to the big heavy battle, then I don't know what they're doing. If you've got an overmatch, sure, risk it on the field. Always be ready for rails. It can turn into a suicide run or a masterstroke depending how it's going. And if you're gonna go down one of the long roads, remember, almost definitely there's a TD at the end fully aimed in at you. Ensk, close quarter combat. It's the close quarter combat that I'll see you with on the battlefield.